I opened the text from my mother, sitting there on my couch, the scent of a forgotten pizza box clinging faintly to the air, and the words just hit me, "You're banned from Thanksgiving, idiot." She followed it up with a picture of my brother, Jason, my sister, Sarah, and my mother, all gathered around what looked like a preliminary, lavish table setting, all of them laughing, deliberately looking away from the camera, except for my mother, whose smirk was directed right at the lens. The clock on my phone read 3:00 p.m., 4 days before Thanksgiving. I was banned. Excluded from my own family's biggest holiday gathering for a reason so petty it made my stomach churn, but that's a story for another time. For now, the question that has been haunting me for weeks is this: was I wrong for the calculated, absolutely necessary way I allowed their holiday to completely and utterly implode? Tell me honestly if you would have simply swallowed your pride, or if you would have done exactly what I did. My story, the real story, begins much earlier than that text message. Really, it begins about 6 months ago. My name is Alex, and while I have a decent, paying job, I work as a financial analyst for a mid-sized tech firm, I wouldn't call myself rich. I'm comfortable, but my family, they treat me like I'm the family bank. My brother, Jason, is a perpetual artist who is constantly running out of money for his next big project. My sister, Sarah, is a stay-at-home mother, and my mother, well, she just seems to have an endless stream of expensive last-minute emergencies. Over the years, I've paid for car repairs, overdue rent, vet bills for a dog I've never met, and countless other things. I always told myself it was my duty. They were my family, and the truth is, I wanted to help. I wanted to be the reliable one, the one they could count on, because deep down I always felt like a bit of an outsider, the quiet one, the one who actually had to work for things while they seemed to stumble from one financial crisis to the next. This year, Thanksgiving was going to be a huge affair. My mother, in her usual grandiose style, had decided to host about 30 people, extended family, neighbors, even some new friends she'd met at her book club. She loves the spectacle of a big event, and she loves the praise she gets for it. The only catch, as always, was the money. About 3 weeks before the holiday, she called me, not to invite me, but to announce her grand plan. She wanted to buy a new top-of-the-line oven because hers was just too small for a turkey the size of a small toddler. She needed new linens, a professional-grade ice machine, and a new rug for the dining room because the old one had character. When I cautiously asked her how she planned to pay for this sudden, extravagant upgrade, she just laughed. "Oh, Alex, darling, don't be silly. You're the successful one. You just need to cover the initial costs, say, $8,000, and everyone else will chip in later." She didn't even phrase it as a question. It was a royal decree. I paused. $8,000. That was a serious amount of money, and I had just put a down payment on a new car. I told her gently that I couldn't cover the entire amount, but I could contribute a generous, non-trivial sum, perhaps $1,500. The change in her tone was immediate and jarring. The queen turned into a banshee. $1,500, that's barely enough for the wine. What kind of son are you? I've given you everything. Jason and Sarah need the money more than you do. That's when the real issue surfaced. They weren't just asking for a loan. They were demanding a lifestyle they couldn't afford using my money. I stood firm. I told her no. I told her I would contribute $1,500 for the food, the legitimate expenses, but I would not fund an unnecessary renovation project. The next few days were a nightmare of escalating texts and phone calls, most of them from Jason and Sarah, not asking if I was okay, but telling me how selfish I was. "Mom's stressed, Alex. Just give her the money." Jason whined. "You're ruining Thanksgiving for everyone," Sarah accused. I tried to explain that I was setting a boundary, that this wasn't about the money, but about respect, but they weren't listening. They only heard the sound of their holiday budget shrinking. It all culminated in that picture, that smug, hateful image, and the text that followed, "You're banned from Thanksgiving, idiot." I immediately texted back 2 words. "Okay, noted." I didn't get angry. I didn't beg. I just accepted it. I hung up the phone and started making my own plans. I called my friend group, people I'd always felt more at home with than my own blood, and arranged for a quiet, low-key, but delicious Friendsgiving potluck at my place. I was finally free. Now, here's the part you really need to understand. My mother, being the queen of spectacle, had indeed ordered all the high-end stuff, and she had put it all on her asterisk credit card. But here's the crucial detail that makes me a total calculated villain. For the last 2 years, I had been managing all the utility bills for her house, the gas, the electricity, and the internet. It was my way of ensuring she never had a major service interruption, and it was tied directly to my checking account, set up for automatic payment on the 10th of every month. I did it because, frankly, my mother is scatterbrained, and I knew she would forget, and then she would call me to bail her out. I also knew that the house was in her name, but a secondary, high-interest credit card that she used for all her emergency purchases had been set up for automatic payment on the 15th of the month. A few years ago, when she was going through a period of unemployment, I had put my asterisk checking account on file for that payment as a temporary measure. I had since removed the utility payments, but in a moment of utter exhaustion a year ago, I had forgotten to remove the automatic payment on the credit card. This card was the one she used to buy the oven, the linens, and the professional ice maker, all that new, beautiful, highly prized holiday decor. The payment date was exactly 2 days before Thanksgiving. So that's the situation I was in. They had completely disrespected me, laughed at me, and banned me from my own family's holiday over a principle. They had banked on my reliable, ever-flowing stream of financial aid. I saw the credit card bill come in, $8,200. I had the money in my account. I could click confirm, and they would never know the difference. Their Thanksgiving would go off perfectly, and I would be at my quiet, happy Friendsgiving, stewing in my own resentment. Or I could let the consequences of their actions finally, irrevocably, land on their heads. Before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause and comment below what you would have done in my shoes. Would you have been the bigger person and funded their luxury, or would you have let the dominoes fall? I genuinely want to know your answer. I made my choice. I logged into my bank's mobile app. I found the recurring payment for my mother's extravagant credit card, the payment due on the 15th, and I deleted it. Then I changed my phone to Do Not Disturb and put it in a drawer. I wanted silence. I wanted peace. I wanted to see if they would realize that the ATM they had been relying on for years had finally run dry. The 15th passed, the bill went unpaid. The 16th arrived, and I got one polite text from my mother. "Did you remember to pay that bill, Alex? I'm so busy with the turkey brine." I didn't respond. I was prepping for my own gathering, a small, intimate affair with people who genuinely cared about me. On the 17th, the real calls started. My mother's phone had apparently been shut off, a consequence of the service provider finally catching up to her late payments, a recurring issue I usually fixed within an hour. I got a frantic call from Jason, whose number I hadn't blocked. "Alex, Mom's phone is dead. How are we going to coordinate the catering? The internet is out too. I can't send the invitations." I finally picked up. I kept my voice perfectly calm. "Jason, what are you talking about? I haven't paid her bills in a while. I thought you guys were helping her out. Remember, you all told me I was ruining Thanksgiving, so I figured you were all taking over her finances. The silence on his end was deafening. What? You stopped paying? Alex, you can't be serious. You're the one who always handles that. And you're the one who told me I was banned from Thanksgiving. I replied, the ice in my voice thick enough to skate on. You all laughed at me. I took that as a very clear sign that you didn't need my help, financial or otherwise. You are all capable adults. Figure it out. I hung up before he could respond. But the real climax came on the morning of Thanksgiving. I was up late, baking a killer pumpkin pie, when I finally pulled my phone out of the drawer. 87 missed calls, 43 texts, mostly starting with capital letters. One voice message from my mother was particularly illuminating. Her voice was thin, strained, and filled with a desperate kind of panic. Alex, you have to call me back. They took the oven. The delivery men came and took the new oven back, and the ice machine. They said the payment failed and they had to repossess it. Sarah is crying. Jason is trying to call a caterer who won't answer, and we have 30 people arriving in 3 hours. The electricity is flickering, Alex. Please, I don't know what to do. You have to fix this. My sister Sarah had sent a long, rambling text about how I was an evil, heartless monster, and that I had destroyed their family tradition. But it was all just noise. I read the texts, listened to the voicemail, and a profound sense of calm washed over me. I hadn't destroyed their tradition. They had. They had built their entire holiday on a foundation of expectation and my wallet, and when I removed that foundation, the whole rickety structure collapsed. I didn't respond to any of them. I silenced my phone and went back to my pie. My Friendsgiving was small, chaotic in the best way, and filled with genuine appreciation and laughter. We used mismatched plates, the food was simple but delicious, and no one was keeping score of who paid for what. That night, I got a final text from Jason. It simply read, "It was a disaster. Mom had a meltdown. Everyone left by 6 p.m. We ate cold ham and burnt rolls. The aftermath has been exactly what I expected." The silence lasted for about a week, followed by a slow, agonizing trickle of apologies that were really just attempts to reel me back into the role of financial savior. My mother is still without an internet connection, and she has to cook on an old 2-burner hot plate. Jason and Sarah have had to take out small loans to help cover the immediate necessities. And they are finally, for the first time, realizing the immense cost of maintaining my mother's house. I have not offered to help. I have not even offered a loan. I just keep telling them what I told my mother. You're all capable adults. Figure it out. I've had a few calls from my mother where she's actually apologized for the idiot text, but she hasn't apologized for her years of financial manipulation. She still doesn't see that as the real issue, but I am sticking to my boundaries. Thanksgiving was the final straw. I finally understood that I was not a loved family member, but an indispensable resource, and once I was no longer indispensable, I was disposable. I missed a lot of things, like the idea of a perfect family holiday, but I gained my peace, my money, and my self-respect. I finally feel like a person, not a wallet with legs. So that's the whole ugly story. I'm telling it not for vindication, but for perspective. It's an important lesson about boundaries and what happens when you finally say no. I'm not sure if I'm the hero or the villain in this story, but I know I'm finally the one in charge of my own life. Like this video if you were absolutely on my side for letting that entire lavish, disrespectful holiday crumble. Subscribe for more stories like this one, because believe me, this family has many more chapters, and please share your final thoughts on this whole messy situation in the comments section below. I want to read what you would have done after being banned. I'll see you all in the next story.